Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you for giving me this 1 hour. We are going to have a great show today. Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm great. We certainly are going to have a great show. We're looking forward to it.
Yes, we're going. And you know what's interesting is that it's funny that the topic that we're doing today is actually something that you were looking at yourself, something that you heard on the Tom Hartman show.
Tom Hartman was covering quite a bit of the issue with overpriced medication and how we're keeping it, keeping generics out of how it has a connection with the TPP.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of interconnectedness that very few people actually realize, but it's important for you to know.
In Medicare
folks.
Part D.
Yes, it's an important thing that we have to talk about, and it's more than that. But you know, what can I say? We have to get there first. You know, folks, is it pie in the sky to be able to afford your prescription drug? Do you think it's pie in the sky to be able to afford?
Well, shouldn't we be able to access what we actually need? If they're prescribing it for us, shouldn't it be required for our health? And shouldn't we be able to have access to it as Americans?
You would think so, wouldn't you?
It's not supposed to be something for the elite.
I know. So is it pie in the sky to desire good health care that you can afford, Shannon?
No, sir, it's not.
While many are hedging, the pharmaceutical companies are moving forward in redistributing America's wealth. Somebody just says, Egberto, what do you mean by redistributing America's wealth? We're going to talk about that. You heard that right. Drug companies are one of the major sources of wealth transfer in this country. Nobody tells you that. But whenever people talk about redistribution, don't think about poor folks' money being redistributed to poor folk. That ain't the truth. I don't know if that's grammatically correct, but let's move on. You heard that right. Drug companies are one of the major sources of wealth transfer in America, and they are aided by crooked politicians, timid politicians, or what? Both of them. Recently, the IMS reported that drug company gouging continues and will continue for the foreseeable future. Yet, many scoff at Bernie Sanders' demand for single-payer health care. America, let's make an attempt at individual, logical, fact-based thinking. Let's do that together. Let's not be condemned by our own ignorance. Let's really try to think beyond the pale. Let's try to not allow others to do the thinking for us. But before we get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is the bastion of intelligent voices and programs. And as a political activist, my favorites are The Monitor with Mark Bebawi on Mondays at 7 p.m. I also love Think Wing Radio with Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m. Of course, there's Partisan Gridlock with Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m. And you know, the songs of my heart, the things that I really love, jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin jazz at its very best, hosted by Juan Flores, the one and only Juan Flores on Mondays at 10 p.m. And Juan was telling me about a good concert that's going to be happening at McGregor Park. I don't remember the specifics about it. So if you call in and tell us or tell the folk, we'll put you on there so you can tell folks about that as well. Check out our full schedule, folks, at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain strong, viable. Make sure we're here. So, folks, don't you forget. Come on out. This is KPFT 90.1 FM Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. Let's talk. I will also be following our hashtag Politics Done Right on Twitter, Egberto Willies. So, folks, you can listen to the live stream or listen to the podcast, vlogcast, links everywhere. Just go to politicsdoneright.com and we'll talk about it. But, folks, we need to hear from you. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Make sure to give us a call. But you know what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks. Here is the blog post of the week. Here we go. What will it take? What will it take for most Americans to see the light? It will likely take the death of close loved ones from middle-class Americans with insurance to slap some single-payer cents into Americans. What do I mean by that? People are going to have to die for us to really understand the massacre that these folks are actually inflicting on us under our own noses. According to the IMS, U.S. prescription drug spending will hit $400 billion a year by 2020. Reuters report the following. And it says as follows. U.S. annual spending on prescription medicines will increase 22% over the next 5 years, climbing as high as $400 billion in 2020, according to a report released by healthcare information company IMS Health Holdings, Inc. on Thursday. Those figures, which take into account anticipated discounts, rebates, and other concessions that have become common, represent an annual growth rate of 4% to 7% through 2020, according to the report. Absorb the following, folks. Absorb the following. The inflation rate has averaged 1% over the last 10 years. Drug prices have been growing at between 4 and 7%. Think about that. Pharmaceutical companies grow their revenues and profits not based on increased cost, but on the desire to extract more profits irrespective of market conditions. Now listen. According to the WSJ, and you know they are no friend of folks who think that we should have some sort of good medical system, demand for a drug called Avonex has declined every year for the past 10 years. Not a problem for its manufacturer. U.S. revenue from the drug has more than doubled in that time to $2 billion last year. The key repeated price increases. The multiple sclerosis drugs maker Biogen Inc. raised its price an average of 16 cents a year throughout the decade, 21 times in all. It is all an example of drug companies' unusual ability to boost prices beyond the inflation rate to drive their revenue, even when demand for drugs doesn't exist. A result of this pricing power is that across 30 top-selling drugs sold by pharmacies, U.S. revenue growth has far outpaced demand in the past 5 years. According to Wall Street Journal, analysis of corporate filings and industry data, revenue growth averaged 61%, 3 times the increase in prescriptions. Understand what all of that means, folks. Americans are being fleeced, but it is deeper. It is a systemic problem. It is legal robbery based on a system that has allowed healthcare to be a profit center. Our healthcare system redistributes the wealth of the masses to the wealthy few, and that own most of the drug companies. and our healthcare system. Let me repeat that because I said it wrong. Our healthcare system redistributes the wealth of the masses to the wealthy few that own most of the drug companies and our healthcare system. We all get sick and as such do not have many choices but to acquiesce to the extortion. And that's what it is, extortion. It is a lie that these high prices lead to better drugs. They result in richer people at the top. After all, the taxpayer invests in substantial number of drug researches and studies, yet partake in none of the profits. According to citizens.org, Public Citizens, major U.S. drug companies and their Washington, D.C. lobby group, the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, PhRMA, have carried out a misleading campaign to scare policymakers and the public. PhRMA Central claims is the industry needs extraordinary profits to fund expensive, risky, and innovative research and development R&D for new drugs. If anything is done to moderate prices, they say, or profits, R&D will suffer, they say. And as PhRMA president recently said, it's going to harm millions of Americans who have life-threatening conditions. But this R&D scare card or canard is built on myths, falsehoods, and misunderstandings, all of which are made possible by the drug industry's staunch refusal to open its R&D records to congressional investigators or other independent auditors. How does the drug company get away with this legalized theft? In addition to the lobbying of Congress, they brainwash Americans into the false belief that they are receiving something or some benefit for an overpriced product. The astounding amount of money they invest in advertising and marketing is probative. You can't get off a TV and not see all those commercials. And you know they're all in prime time. And they're all during the Super Bowl. And they're everywhere. Do you know who's paying for those commercials? It's not those companies. For every high-priced drug that you buy, you are buying those commercials. That's why it shouldn't be a profit within the drug industry. After all, the University of Texas, Baylor College, all these different universities do a lot of studies with the dollar of the taxpayer. How come all these guys get the profit and charge us more for it? We're paying for medicines twice, thrice, many times. Folks, we have to get with the program. So repeating, the astounding amount of money they invest in advertising and marketing is probative. Yet, Americans live no longer than most in the industrialized world. We don't have better outcomes at all. Ultimately, the only solution is a single-payer Medicare-for-all system where drug companies are regulated stricter than utility companies. If they find that too restrictive, R&D can be relegated solely to the public universities and manufacture to the lowest bidder. Drug companies' sole desire is to make a profit. Humanity plays no role. Why then should anyone believe they will perform any better than a university? Why not pay professors a high salary to develop products based solely on science without the worry of advertising costs, exploitative executives and shareholders? Single payer give Americans the power to demand. Single payer gives people the power to demand. And if the drug companies cannot cope, they have no reason to exist. The composite knowledge of the American people developed the cures, yet we're extorted to pay for them just to stay alive. That is a definition of extortion. For all those that currently do not agree that we need to go to a system that is more controlled, I also want to hear from you. I want our listeners to hear from you. Remember, what we do here is we have civil conversations where we want to hear all sides and come to logical conclusions. I've already come to some. I would love to hear somebody refute some of this, and we open air here. 713-526-5738. Let's hear from Jerry. Come on in, Jerry.
Hi. How you doing?
Fine, sir. How you doing today?
I'm all right. Have you been getting my emails, by the way? The little links that I've been sending you to.
Where have you sent it, sir?
It's been at Berto Willie's at Politics Done Right. You want me to send it to the other one?
You'd want to send it to info@politicsdoneright.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
How can I help you, my friend?
Yeah. Well, I happen to agree with you about that. Even in some Western countries where they still have a profit-based system up to a point, it's still a whole heck of a lot more reasonable.
Right.
And everything. I mean, there are places like Germany and that actually do, but the prices, once again, and as you pointed out, people live longer.
Yes.
Throughout Western and Northern Europe, and certainly in parts of Asia, people live, 3, 4, 5 years longer than the average. The average age there is at 3, 4, 5 years. They live
longer.
to be 3, 4, 5 years older than the average American life expectancy, and you never hear the right. The right has nothing to say to that. Those numbers are, there's not really any arguing with those numbers. But they keep saying we've got the greatest healthcare system in the world.
Well, they've learned. Let me just say one thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but I really want to tell you this, Jerry. What the right has learned from a psychological standpoint is that if you say something enough times, and that's something that you say goes unrefuted, then it becomes a reality. And that is what has occurred in our country. We have allowed others to give us a narrative. And instead of coming back hard with the narrative, not by giving scientific information, because what you just gave was great. You just said, the other people live 3 to 5 years longer than us and all that good. That is great. But we have to find a way to give the message that affects the individual that is listening. And if you notice how I started my blog, I said one thing. When will Americans start changing? When enough of your siblings, when enough of your kids die because the insurance company says we're not going to approve you for this specific drug. It's already happening. But the dead people right now are not in the correct socioeconomic realm. But as soon as it starts hitting the right socioeconomic group, then you will see that people would suddenly have the notion that we have to do something. And what it is our job right now to move that along quicker. If you really care about humanity, if you really care about your fellow man, we need to get it out there and open the door before we have too many dead people out there.
Well, there's also the flip side of that, and this is something that I've kept trying to bring up on your show and like Mike's.
Yes.
And that is, it's going to affect economic growth ultimately.
Yes.
There's a number of what?
It already has.
Yeah, it already has, but it's going to get a lot worse. The thing about it is that, basically what we're going to see is, it's going to start affecting things like productivity and all that.
Yes.
And it already has, like you said, we're already feeling it, but it's going to just get worse and worse.
Let me, I want to get into that, and then I'm going to have to go to the next call, Jerry, but this is another important topic, and because you said it perfectly, it's going to have an economic effect. We've been talking about wage stagnation for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But here's it. The wage stagnation it is bad, but there are pieces of the wage stagnation that we don't talk about, and that is the healthcare costs that companies have been increasingly paying because of these healthcare increases that you don't get in a wage increase you would have otherwise gotten. So it already has had an effect for several decades now because people have not gotten certain increases in their wages. No, look, the plutocracy is paying as little as possible. I mean, we have exporting our jobs, all of that is a factor. But a major factor as well is medical costs. So look, Jerry, as you keep sending those emails, I saw a couple of them just now that you mentioned it. It went to the wrong area, but send to info.
Okay, I'll send them info. Okay,
great.
That's what I was wondering about.
Thank you very much, my friend. You have a wonderful day. So we are going to go now to Teg on line number 2. Teg, come on in, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Just this morning on, it was either Arnie Arneson or Amy Goodman, they reported that the structure of the cost for prescription drugs are based on a one-pill distribution.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
I heard that on Tom Hartman this morning.
Oh, okay, it was Tom Hartman. Well, good. We got all the good names in then.
That's right.
but Tom said that that's the reason that our costs of prescriptions have went up so much, because it's just like if we went to pharmacy and bought one pill every day rather than buying a month's worth or whatever. And then he also said that what's going on now with the TPP is that the regulation for the TPP is going to make it so this cost structure is worldwide, that everybody in the world is going to pay.
Yes, it would drive it international.
So.
Go ahead.
They said it would drive it international, especially, he mentioned in particular it was because of Medicare Part B that they have not been able to, or not willing to change the particular legislation. I mean, I don't feel comfortable backing this because I have not done my research beyond, but Tom Hartman seemed well-versed on this issue, and it sounded, legitimate based on how powerful our drug lobbyists are here in the United States, and just the power that just overall, just our medical healthcare industry is just,
they dominate.
And Shannon, those people that you're talking about are the ones who actually wrote the legislation that we follow now.
That's right.
What's established these high costs on drugs.
And I'm glad that you brought this up on the TPP. Both Shannon told me about the TPP earlier today, and you now mentioning it, Teg, because what a lot of people don't understand is it is true that the TPP, in fact, that's why New Zealand and Australia had a massive protests against the TPP, because what it was going to do to the pricing of the drugs in their particular countries. I mean, we note that we didn't see any of that on TV. None of the people that are protesting these items. And if you take a look at, and again, a lot of times we talk about Republican, Democrat, or whatever. Well, now they're all in the same darn boat when it comes to things like the TPP, because what we're looking at is all of them are given, and you kind of wonder how much understanding these politicians have of the issues, on how, when Hillary says, I'll take the money, but they won't have my vote, or they won't, you have to wonder about that, because, President Obama took their money, or some of their money as well, and the TPP is going through. I am very upset at the president for having this go through, but Teg, I got to go to Alan. Go ahead.
Let me say just one more quick thing.
Yes, sir.
When they talk about the cost of new drugs being developed, you take the superbug TPC,
right?
Or, TPK. Anyway, I got the letters backwards, but anyway, it's superbug, and no drug companies are developing any drugs to fight the superbug, because there's no money in it.
Thank you. And that's the whole issue. The big lie is that somehow they're using these profits to do more research. The real truth is that they're using the profits. And folks, for those of you who know about the stock market economics, what makes a stock go up in price is what they believe the potential growth of a company is going to be. Stocks are forward-looking. Okay, so if they believe, and the only way a lot of these drug companies can increase their profit margin, increase their growth, is to increase prices, whether they create something or not. That is the reason why they do things like they try to extend patents. That is the reason they do things like, remember when Claritin lost its patent? What happened? They designed a new drug called Clarinex. Very little difference between Clarinex and Claritin. And what happened then? Oh my God, new drugs they get the doctors to start putting out, and then you pay full price again. No generics. I got to go to Alan.
Hey, Berto, have a good day.
You have a wonderful day. Thank you for calling. Let's go to Alan. Come on in, Alan.
Alan.
Hi, this is Alan Puram.
Yes, sir.
I want to alert the listeners. Thank you, Egberto, for dealing with this very important topic in our economics. And there is a national organization that you can go to on the web.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Healthcare-Now. In other words, you spell it with a hyphen between the words healthcare and now.
Right.
And then .org. That's the national organization. And then on the state level and locally here in Houston, we have Medicare-for-all Texas.
Very good organization.
And that's HCFAT, the acronym, HCFAT.org. and it backs up all the truthful facts that you're giving out right now. So with that, I hope that our listeners will go to these organizations, participate. We have meetings on the second Thursday of the month.
Didn't you have a meeting today, I believe? Or was it last Thursday?
The second Thursday would be today, yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. I got an email from you guys about that meeting.
So that's normally held at St. Paul's Church at 5501 Main Street. It's on the second story. You enter from the south side of the building there. And St. Paul's Church at 5501 Main Street, right by the railroad.
Thank you.
We need to deal with other issues that our current healthcare system doesn't deal with, such as dental care and mental health.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, folks, first of all, you guys do very good work. Thank you for being there, okay? Keep up doing that work. And we need to get, thank you for calling, sir. We need to go ahead and get folks involved in their own healthcare. I mean, it's not a sexist subject. It's not a subject that we are generally ready to take on. So what we need to do now, first of all, let me, Victor, I'm coming to you next, but we have to go to weather and traffic. That's about a minute, and I'll be with you next.
All right, thank you, Egberto. Let's take a brief look at our weather around town. It is currently 80 degrees and scattered clouds here in the heart of Montrose. 20% chance of stray showers today. Partly cloudy skies tonight through tomorrow. Low near 60 degrees and high Friday of 86 degrees. Expect scattered thunderstorms to move back into the area on Saturday with a 50% chance of rain and occasional wind gusts about 40 miles per hour. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the North Freeway inbound at Parker, a multiple vehicle accident is affecting the left and center lanes, backing up traffic all the way to west. And on the Gulf Freeway outbound at Broad Street, an accident has been cleared from the center lane to the left shoulder, but traffic remains backed up to downtown. And on the Katy Freeway, outbound at Silver, an accident involving 5 vehicles has been cleared from 3 main lanes, but traffic remains backed up to San Jacinto. And you're tapping on the brakes in both directions on the West Loop from Evergreen all the way up to the Katy Freeway. That's a look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you are listening to Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies, right here on KPFT Houston 90.1. Back to you, Egberto.
Muchísimas gracias. Now let's go to line 4 with Victor. But before I bring in Victor, I want to remind folks that this is a call-in show. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And we have open lines. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I want to hear your thoughts on the medical system and the drugs and all that good stuff, and what's bothering you. Anyhow, Victor, come on in. How you doing?
Great, Victor. I want to speak with you. This is Victor Tiffany. I'm the co-founder of Revolt Against Plutocracy.
Right. Now, I know exactly who you are. How you doing, Victor? Hey, Victor, beforehand, try to get in a position that, because sometimes you break up a little bit, so if you can find a position and stay steady there, we can have a clean shot.
Is that all better?
Yeah, let's go. So talk to me. What you want to tell me?
There's a misconception about the Bernie or bust.
Okay, actually, that is not very good, Victor. It's kind of very muffled. Can you get to another? Is it your cell phone or?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
any better?
That had come across good for a minute there.
Maybe we can have him call back.
Any better now?
Yeah, let's try this now. Let's talk. Let's see now.
Yeah, we've originated the idea of the Bernie or bust effort.
I tell you what, Victor, call back, and then I am going to put you in the head of the queue because it's very unclear. Give us a call back, and I'll put you in the queue. Right now, I'm going to jump to Leo and then come back to you. Okay, so call us back. Okay, come on in, Leo. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I tend to disagree with a great many things that you've been saying. One of the things I do believe is that, if it was not for countries like the United States of America that do not have a socialized medical system.
We don't have a socialized medical system, you mean, right?
No, I say that don't.
Yeah,
as
okay.
opposed to European countries and Canada that do.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think that there's just a tremendous amount of technology that would not exist, that these people piggyback on us because there's no incentive for somebody to invest tens of millions of dollars trying to develop some of the equipment. It's not just drugs. It's a lot of equipment, imaging equipment, things of this nature that we didn't even have 15 years ago. And if somebody wasn't willing to roll the dice and say, you know, I'm going to lay all this money out to try to develop this thing, and God forbid it should work and I should make a little profit in return, you know. But see, these countries like England or France or Germany or Canada, they just wait for it to happen and then they just snap it up, you know. And
okay,
you know,
let me ask you this, Al. Can I get the gist of what you're saying, and I respect the gist of what you're saying. Unfortunately, after the studies has been done, right? And this is where I ask people who are calling into my show just as to help us by researching, right? In other words, what I'm trying to say is that everything that you've just said has been debunked. And when I say debunked, I say that with respect, but I really want you to know that nothing that you have just said there is true, and it has already been proven not true. Let me give an example. If you go to citizens.org, okay, they've done the research, and there are several things that they found out. A lot of drug research that we do in this country is actually first done at the university level, and when it is time to market, it is then capitalized, and private equity funds and all these other people capitalize on the discoveries that were made at universities. And who paid for those universities again, my friend? The kids who paid their tuition, and us, you yourself, the taxpayer. That's number one.
Well, you're talking about drugs.
No, not only drugs. I'm not finished.
I was talking about equipment.
No, I'm talking about all of that, sir. Really. The mechanical engineering department at the University of Texas, the biomedical department at the University of Texas, and that's where I went to school. That's where I got my degree. They've done all this research, and whenever it is time to capitalize on these products, it's not the university that makes a profit or the ongoing profit. A lot of times for short-term gain or because of political whatever, they will sell the rights quickly, and then somebody else capitalizes on that. What I'm trying to say, my friend, is the following. There is a lot of media out there, and there's a marketing department of these drug companies and equipment manufacturers, etc., who is there to promote exactly what you've said, which sounds plausible. Everybody else is piggybacking on the United States. Here's the funny thing about it. A lot of the healthcare costs in England, a lot of the drugs that we are using in mass quantities, they're not even using those drugs because the cheaper drugs are just as good. The example that I gave between Claritin and Clarinex is probative. What do I mean by that? Claritin continues to work fine. It continues to stop the sniffles of many Americans. But it lost its patent. In losing its patent, what occurred is that drug company thought it needed to find a way to sell a high-priced drug again. So it added a little ingredient, renamed it to Clarinex, and then guess what happened? It sends its people to doctors and say, hey, this is a new drug. Now sell it. That is what we're encountering. There is no reason for us to, and if you doubt a lot of what I'm saying, look at the profit margins of drug companies compared to other companies. Look at the amount of monies that are spent on TV commercials. Look at all these different expenses that they have, and ask yourself the question, why do we have to advertise drugs when a doctor, based on your particular condition, should decide what is in your best interest? Not for you to be watching TV and saying, oh,
you're not getting an argument from me there.
Right. I know, sir.
I would do away with
my friend,
commercials.
My friend, let me tell you something. You and I can guarantee you something. Most people, even those who call here initially with a vile response to me, implying some sort of a social medicine type of a stuff, when they actually look at the practicality, because when people talk about markets, right? You can't talk about markets in medicine, because when you talk about market, when I go to the store, I have the choice of buying Bama or buying some other brand. Or if it's too high, I have the choice of simply saying no. When you get into an accident, when something bad happens to you, you don't have that choice to say no when something is wrong. So it doesn't fall within the framework of what many capitalists would like. We've decided to do that. And in doing so, what we've started to do is bankrupt our own citizens. Many American citizens are simply bankrupt because they get sick. And I mean, it's not hyperbole. There's a better way to do this. And we have to be open to the better way to do this. That's all I'm saying, my friend.
Well, sir, and I appreciate your time. I have a terminal disease myself.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
I have learned to herd cats.
I hear you, buddy. Let me tell you something. We need folks like you who will listen and give themselves a chance to change how they feel and talk to your friends about it, my friend. Look, I appreciate your call to KPFT. You keep calling us and you keep listening, okay?
Bye.
You have a wonderful day. Okay, let's go to Victor on line 6. Let's see if we got a better line. Victor, how you doing today?
I think this is a better line. How's it sound?
This sounds a lot better. Talk to me, Victor.
All right, so from the beginning, I am the co-founder of Revolt Against Plutocracy, and we're the originators of the Bernie or Bust pledge movement.
Right.
Now, I want to, everyone in the media, bloggers and everyone else is focused on or bust.
Right.
We are hashtag still Sanders. Mm-hmm. People don't understand. People who take the Bernie or Bust pledge leave contact information. And right now, as we speak, I'm looking at an email I'm sending out to mm-hmm. pledge takers in Pennsylvania.
Right.
To get them to do a couple of mailings, one this coming weekend, forwarding basically to everyone they know.
Right.
This is called Democracy Commando Force Multiplication. It's an idea from Naomi Wolf's book, Give Me Liberty, a handbook for American revolutionaries. So this isn't my idea.
Okay.
And then they are to forward it to everyone they know in Pennsylvania.
That's what we're
doing,
Victor,
in Pennsylvania this week. And the weekend after that, we're sending out a message that we've been our pledge takers have been handing out to people in line to go in and caucus all across the nation ever since Nevada.
Right.
So we're still Sanders. We're still focusing on helping him
let me tell you,
win the nomination.
Victor, look, first of all, let me first commend you on the job that you're doing in organizing. Very important. Let me also commend you on doing all those signature collections or whatever. For folks like myself, pragmatist lefties, and I think I'm pretty much more left than you are. I actually know who you are, my friend. But for folks that are like me, the part of the movement, your movement that I don't like, that I think is actually pretty bad, is the part that says or bust. And I am assuming that the bust means if that doesn't occur, write Bernie's name in, or don't vote, but simply not vote for.
No.
Okay.
We the wallpaper on our website is the act of voting, so we are absolutely against not voting.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
The pledge is either write in Sanders or vote Green. Now, let me just talk about the TPP.
Victor, you have
because we're going to get that from Hillary Clinton.
I know.
She has come out
Victor,
against TPP,
let me,
right?
Hold on a
second. For two reasons that she cited were conditions of the TPP when she called it the gold standard.
Victor,
she doesn't oppose the TPP, and if you end up electing her, we're going to have democratic self-government replaced by corporate self-government.
Victor,
that is what the TPP is.
Victor, I understand all of that. Let me tell you something. First of all, I started this conversation commending you for the work that you're doing with organizing, which is very important. But secondly, I am going to give you something that I think you and many in the movement have failed to do, which is causal for likely the candidate that you would have preferred to win, not win. Example, when was the last time that anyone in your group sent out these forces within the Latino community, within the black community, within all these different communities, so that you could really build that brand? One of the things that look, I won't say who I support because I'm on the radio, but many people can infer. But that said, The mere fact, there are a lot of people that are saying Hillary is for TPP. You know what? Yes, she is. And you know what? The TPP is going to be passed whether a Democrat, Republican, or other is in the White House. Let me tell you what short term, what has to be done. Short term, we better be looking out for the American citizen and what's in their best interest short term until we really get off our butts and build a movement where we have a full movement that somebody like a Sanders or somebody who is more a populist can get elected. But just saying, Bernie and if, just coming to say we don't want Hillary, so we'll take whatever else is going to occur is a danger. And it's not only a danger, but for a lot of the people within the movement right now, the problem that I see is that they're living a comfortable life. Whether Hillary is there or whether Trump is there, they will be able to go home and be free. They'll be able to go home and live a good life. My concern as an activist as well is not only the long term. And look, what you're doing, I think, is necessary. But I think it has to be more pragmatic for one specific reason until we do our job. Until we do our job and really get a movement. The best of two evils is a must. Until we do our job and engage all communities so that we really have, on my show, I don't know if you've listened before, but I said until we unite the ghettos, the barrios, and Appalachia, until we do that, we better select the best of both evils. And you say, Victor, you get 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, we don't like using the word evil. We are beyond good and evil. So we talk about the lesser of two revolting plutocrats.
That's fine.
For starters, we also have a
actually, I like that. I like that
in Spanish. So we are recruiting Latino Americans. And the third point is, I don't know what you're waiting for in terms of building a movement. That's what we're doing, and what we're telling the establishment in the Democratic Party is, we're not going to take the establishment candidate if you don't pick Bernie Sanders, then we're going to start building the Green Party. We're not going to wait for some day to start being pragmatic. This is the pragmatic alternative.
And here's what I'm going to say, my friend. That choice, they love that choice, actually. The plutocracy would love your choice. I mean, the plutocracy loves what you said, because what's going to happen is, like I always say, I don't believe in a fast movement. I believe in working the grassroots, and I believe in working what's best. And what I'm saying is Bernie would have won if we had, when I say we, I'm talking about all of us in these low, these grassroots. And everybody on the line, you're going to get a chance to speak. The lines are really full, Victor. But what I'm saying is we have to work together. But look, we can't finish this conversation here, Victor. Maybe we can do it on some other shows that we do as well here in my online show.
We can break after Victor.
So, look, thank you for calling. Stay listening, keep on calling, and we'll talk about this. But we have to resolve this
Will do.
We have to resolve the Arbus stuff, my friend. You have a good one, buddy.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Now, we'll go to the next call as soon as we're done with traffic.
All right. Thank you, Egberto. All right. Let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the North Freeway, inbound at Parker, a multiple vehicle accident is still affecting the left and center lanes, backing up traffic to west. And a bit down the road on the North Freeway, inbound at Greens, there's an accident affecting the center lane, backing up traffic to air tax. Also, just an accident that just came in on the Southwest Freeway, inbound at Dunleavy. That's affecting the left shoulder. Traffic is backed up to Westland in that area. But here's a few slow-going areas around town. You're tapping on the brakes outbound on the North Freeway. Outbound from Telephone to Little York. Slow going on the Katy Freeway. Outbound from San Jacinto to the West Sam Houston Tollway. And that's a look at your afternoon commute, but let's take a brief look at weather around town. It is currently 80 degrees and scattered clouds, 20% chance of stray showers. And tonight, expect partly cloudy skies through tomorrow, low near 60 degrees, high tomorrow of 86 degrees. More rain to come over the weekend with a 50% chance of scattered thunderstorms and occasional wind gusts of about 40 miles per hour on Saturday. That's a look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shan McCurchie, and you are listening to Politics Done right here on KPFT Houston 90.1. Back to you, Egberto.
Muchísimas gracias, hermana. Let's go to número 2 with William. William,
Hello,
talk to me, my friend. How are you doing, sir? I'm going to have to start speeding up on guys because the lines are full. Talk to me.
About 45 seconds. Anyway, this is what happened when I had just gotten out of high school. I went to my family dentist. I'm reading the condensed Reader's Digest.
Yes, sir.
And there was an article in there about the pharmaceutical companies, which most of the manufacturing was done right in Detroit.
Uh-huh.
And they were manufacturing Reds, Roars, morphine pills, the blues, all that stuff. And, coincidentally, since the 50s.
Right.
They were getting ripped off. But they were manufacturing more of these drugs than every single person on the planet could inhale every day.
Right.
And it just got ripped off every year by the trainload.
Okay.
And there's nobody regulating this stuff at all anymore.
Well, you know what, William? That's why we're trying to keep folks informed on what's going on. And in you listening and in you promoting what you're saying as well, that's where
there's 127 or 8 people every day in the United States that are dying because of opiates and heroin.
Hey, William, are you going to be a part of the solution?
I'm putting my life on the line every day.
Thank you, brother. Look,
trying to do something that, you need to really call it what it is instead of dancing around it. It's organized crime.
Thank you, sir.
It's pure and simple.
You know what? First of all, I'm going to say on the organized crime, I love that narrative. Okay, so you have a great one, William. I love that narrative. Let's go.
I have another story, but
you can't tell me. You can't do it now.
Balkans, right?
Hey! You can't do the story now. Save it for next week. You have a great one, William.
It ain't going to go away.
All right. Take care. Let's go to number 5 for Nancy. Line number 5.
This is crazy.
Oh, thanks.
How you doing, Nancy?
Yes. About healthcare. For all Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're having a meeting tonight, and we're an advocacy group. And, why don't you come tonight, the listeners? It's free parking.
Mm-hmm.
It's the parking lot across from the Fine Arts Museum.
Right.
And it's 5501 Main Street. This church, St. Paul's United Methodist Church, is straddling Main Street and Fannin. And the handicap parking is closer to the building on Fannin.
Excellent.
Anyway, what I'd like to say is, 62% of all bankruptcies in the United States is because of medical debt.
Right.
And there's no question that we need to do this. It's 45,000 American deaths every year.
Right.
So there's no health care.
Well,
and then also, if you'd like to know, there's a Physicians for a National Health Program.
Yeah, we've had the president. I've interviewed the president on this
Mr.
show
Czar,
before.
Dr. Czar. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you realize there's over 18,000 members? These are all physicians.
Right.
They want this.
But Nancy, let me tell you something. Let me stop you for a second because I'm going to have to go. But I want to ask you a favor because you're throwing out a whole lot of numbers. All those numbers are true, right? But as Drew Weston would say, that he, we have to do better than just throwing out the numbers. We have to find a way to talk to the hearts of people, telling them 18,000 doctors support this and X amount of folks are dying. I've written about this stuff so many times in so many blogs. I'm trying to learn, and we can all do this together. Try to find a way that you can go to your next door neighbor and let them feel that they can play a part in this and why it is dangerous for them to just stay with the status quo. That is what we have to figure out a way to do.
Yeah, that's why we have KPFT. You're not going to hear about this on any other media.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're not going to hear about TPP either.
You got that right.
That's why you listeners there got to tell your friends. KPFT is a good resource of news that you're not going to hear anywhere else. That you need. KPFT is going to have those horrible courts,
right?
Corporations that they try their own courts and their own prosecutors to sometimes exchange and become judges, and then it's going to put so many jobs away.
Nancy,
how on earth
Nancy,
do that?
You're absolutely right, and thank you very much.
One more thing.
Quickly.
The CEO of United Health made the third highest salary of any CEO in the United States in 2009. Guess how much he made? This is one man.
$133 million. I saw the thing. Thank you.
You saw it, so you know. Okay, it's $197.7 million for one man's salary.
Okay, Nancy. We got to go. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, my friend, okay?
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go to line number 1. Jean, come on in, Jean.
Yeah, good afternoon, Egberto.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. First thing I want to address the Bernie or bust guy. Sanders made a decision. He could have ran as an independent and put a Republican in the White House. He could have done that. If he does end up losing, he is going to support Hillary Clinton. There's just no doubt about it. He's already said it many times. And so, I don't understand the mutilation that this group wants to have. I mean, second thing is, I'm a big advocate of single payer and have been for years. We've talked about this many times. But I also think that this particular issue that we're talking about as far as healthcare, pharmaceutical costs should be addressed as a separate issue because, the single payer is going to... I feel that that's not going to happen right away. It's still going to be a medium to long-term solution just because the mood of the country and people like you.
John, actually, that is a very good point that you make there, actually. That we should look at the drug issue separately. I think we have to do it both ways, separately and together. But you're right. I think there's something that can be done separately first. There's a mantra that we always look at. It's that some of us in some organizations always say you only get one first crack at something. But you know what? I must agree with you on that one, John.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the ACA, I mean, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it's helped so many people.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Medicaid expansion. Look at all the people who couldn't get coverage at all.
Right.
Now a lot of them have coverage. It's not great coverage,
right?
For a lot of people, but I mean, it is some coverage. But I mean, we need to regulate these companies. I mean, we need to the actual people need to tell our politicians who we elect. This is unacceptable. I mean, we're the only country that just, doesn't really have, that basically lets the pharmaceutical companies set their rates out of all the industrialized nations. We're the only one that does that. Like Martin Shkreli. Yes. I mean, no other industrialized country would accept that. It just doesn't happen.
You're absolutely right, John. I'm going to have to put you on hold. I got to run to Susan on line 3.
But thank you for that comment. That was an important statement. And well said.
Absolutely. Line 3, Susan.
Thank you. Really enjoying the discussion. I've heard someone say one sentence, put Congress on Medicare.
Yes.
Put our elected officials on Medicare, and they will be motivated to change the system. I just wanted to say that and really enjoying the show.
Well, thank you very much for the call, Susan. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay?
Bye.
Okay, let's go to line number 2, Marcos.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
How you doing, sir?
It does sound weird, but just hear me out. So I like Bernie Sanders. I like what he said. I like what he's putting together.
Mm-hmm.
I did vote for him this right here in Texas for the primary because I'm totally against Hillary Clinton. I don't have anything issue about her being a woman, but just not her. She's trying to outman the man. I just don't think she should be locked up. That's just my opinion based on facts.
Okay.
But come the actual election, I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump, and this is why. I've noticed this, and with Obama and Bill Clinton, that we as so-called Latinos and blacks, poor whites, will support somebody on the left. And then once we get them in office, like Obama, prime example, Clinton, we go to sleep.
Right.
Like, that's it. Job's done. We go back, eating our whatever we got to do, novellas. And
let me stop you, Marcos. You're absolutely right there. You just mentioned a very important point. I got to stop you. I got to stop you first. You mentioned an important point I hope every American hears. We elect somebody and then we go to sleep instead of forcing them to do what we thought we elected them to do. Continue.
Okay. So then, I thought about it. I thought of a strategic method for myself. Take it how you like. I said, if I vote for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump wins, we're not going to go to sleep. The Chicanos, Mexicans, blacks, poor whites, we're not going to go to sleep. We're going to fight even harder to get them out, just like some of the Tea Party members, they took over. Some of the Tea Party members try to impeach Obama. I think that'd be a good thing.
If
Trump really wants to deport Dreamers, man, that'd be great. Because you know what that would do?
Yeah.
I mean, you think we're just going to let him do that. He would have to try to take my wife.
Marcos.
Oh, I'll be so happy if he tried to take my wife.
Let me tell you.
I want her out of the house. But man, I'm gonna put up such a good fight. Man, that'd be great. So let's elect Trump so we don't go to sleep.
Marcos, wait. Let me tell you. Don't leave. Are you gone? Did you leave yet?
No, I'm right here.
Okay, let me tell you something. Okay, I must admit that is the first time I've heard somebody who said they'll vote for Trump just to wake people up.
Yeah, they
okay.
should catch on. I have a Twitter account, Facebook. I'm old school, so however it gets out.
But let me tell you something. It is not the way to go, Marcos. I understand. Your heart is in the right place, but it's not the way to go. In the process, too many people will get hurt. We have to always elect, in my humble opinion, the best of two evils, because we have to work what we have. What I think we have to do, including you, Marcos, since you had that wonderful idea, is you have to go out there and bust your butt so that if we don't get the right candidate and we have to settle for the best of the evils or whatever you want to call it, that the next time around you would have done your job in talking to folks, because, mira, yo soy Latino también, hermano. So let me tell you something, all right? One of the biggest problems in our city, and not only our city but throughout the place, is that particular group, okay, is one of the lowest performing in voters throughout the country. Otherwise, it would be a different country right now. And I don't even think a Trump is what is going to be needed to wake it up. I think more than anything else is a certain type of education that's needed. An education that tells people that you don't need to be insular within your communities, but you can actually make a difference throughout the system. And I think what happens a lot from some experience that I've had is a lot of folks believe in some of these communities that they really do not.
A minute and a half.
They really do not make a difference. And I think once we start ensuring that people accept their worth and know their real worth to society at large, that then they can make a difference. So, I think what you're saying is kind of funny. I was amusing.
I know it did. When I first saw it, I was like, man, am I really saying that?
but I want to tell you better, Mark.
I looked at it, I was in the military. I look at things strategically.
Yes, I hear
you.
Well,
I see, Dolores West, supporting Clinton, and I don't think she really knows what Clinton did and down in Honduras.
Hey, I gotta.
And we continue.
Let me know when you want me to start the music.
Evils, but if we choose the most evil, not because we believe them,
go. Hey, Marcos,
we would not go to sleep.
I have a hard stop,
Marcos. We got to stop voting. We got to start fighting. Get ready.
And we're going to do it. Marcos, I got to go. Long hard stop. The show is about to end. So, folks, thank you very much. Thank you, senor. Have a wonderful day. Folks, we're at the end of the show. I appreciate you giving us this time for the show. We'll be back next week again. Another good topic. You have a wonderful day. My name is Egberto Willies. Politics Done Right is out.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.